Well, it's another day at the castle. Unfortunately, we were going to do the last roof pitch on the back side of the castle, but it's been raining on and off all morning, and the cloud cover's coming in again. The sun's trying to come out, but it's not going to. So we're not going to be able to do the roof pitch on the back. We're going to do some electrical, and you guys have been asking, how do you do electrical in ICF? I don't have the proper tool today, but let's go check it out. Well, as you can see, we've got a bunch of wires. Give you guys an update on some things we've got done so far. Hi, Dad.
Hey, man.
We've got the doorway framed for the utility closet. We've got our boards mounted where we are stapling off all of our home runs. We've got our penetration. Don't worry about this wire. It's not done yet. And as we come through, as you guys can see, we now have lights in the bathroom. We have all the plumbing in here. Plumber got in here, got the washer connection, got the vent. Vent is ran up and through all the way to the attic. But what we're working on is getting more electrical. And yes, we do have a power outlet in here now. Hi, Mom.
Hi.
What we're working on right now is that 12-3 that you guys saw over there in the utility closet. We have ran through the crawl space, over through the floor joist, up through the floor, and now we've made it to the ICF. This wire will actually tuck into the ICF, and it looks like I've got just a little bit more to take out of there to get over into that ICF. But I wanted to show you guys, normally I would take a chainsaw. Yes, a chainsaw. Most of the time that's an electric powered chainsaw, but it can be a gas powered chainsaw. But if you've got a 20-inch bar, 16-inch bar, 12-inch bar, 10-inch bar, I don't care what bar size you have, but you come back off of the teeth of your chain, and I'll draw that out for you. If this is your bar, and on that bar you have your teeth, yeah, this is not what a chainsaw looks like, but if you measure from this point back 1.5 inches, drill a hole in the bar if it doesn't have one already, and mount wheels. So now if you're looking down the bar, if this was the bar thickness, you would have a wheel here and a wheel here at 1.5 inches back. And then essentially you just cut grooves with the chainsaw wherever you want that wire to go. These are plastic studs every 6 inches, so if you have a horizontal run, you want to try to catch the seam of the block so that you have less plastic to cut through, because these actually taper on the bottom, and it allows you to cut minimal plastic out. So if you have a horizontal run, always hit the seam of the ICF. But what I did here was I took my oscillating tool, I traced my box with a pencil, I then oscillated out the foam, and we'll do that again, maybe not today, but at another point. And then I just took a screwdriver and I broke that foam out of there, and I'll show you how we attach it to the wall. But I need to get this 12-3 up to this box, and then I need to take 12-2 out of that box up into that rafter cavity, joist cavity, and get over to that light, and then start daisy chaining my hallway lights together. And we're running 12-3, so if you come in this door or down those steps, you can turn a switch on and off here. But if you come in this door at the other end of the hallway, you'll be able to turn the hallway lights on and off from this switch as well. So we're making this a 3-way switch. But since I don't have a chainsaw today, I've never done this before, so we're gonna do it together. But I'm gonna use my oscillating saw to create a groove, because normally the chainsaw makes a groove about the width of a carpenter's pencil like I have here. And once you cut that groove, you just take your wire and you put it in that way instead of this way, and the foam essentially holds it there and it creates a chase. I don't have the chainsaw, so we're going to use our oscillating saw, and I'm going to cut a line all the way down to the floor. And I'm going to cut a second line going to take our screwdriver. Now, if it was a chainsaw, I'd be done. But since it's not, we're going to take a screwdriver and we're going to knock that ICF out of there. You can see it just pops right out. And again, this is not the way I would prefer to do it, but it's how we have to do it today. You can see it just chunks right out of there in the thickness that I cut. Hopefully you guys can see that. Hopefully you don't fall off there. Now I'm just keeping my screwdriver, the width of it, in the groove that I cut. I got a little big right there. So now I've got a nice chase up to my box. Take the wire, don't put it in, which this one I can put in this way because I cut it wide enough for that, but typically you would put it in there thickness wise. And yeah, I got to do a little work on the floor there to make sure that it's not out in the actual floor. When I drilled my hole in the crawl space, I couldn't see the top side. But now you've created a chase for your wire, and the foam, if I would have cut it exactly right, the foam would trap it in there and it would never come out. But essentially, that's a quick down and dirty, not chainsaw way to hide wire in the ICF. So now we have a stud here and we have a stud here. So when we go to put our drywall on this, it'll cover that up. And you hit your studs with your screws, you don't have to worry about that wire one bit. Got to fix the floor. I'll show you guys the same thing going up to the top and how I get back out of the ICF into that joist cavity there. Okay, if you guys can see that box, I've got the 12-3 wire ran through it, tucked into the ICF. Now I'm going to cut my 12-2 groove to the top, and then we'll get our 12-2 wire up to that light and get it all shoved in, get it in the box, and I'll show you how to mount the box. Okay, now we got to go up top and drill a hole through our rim joist with our paddle bit so that we can get up into that cavity, come over, go through that joist, and get into that light. Looks like we got a little more foam to clean out here, and then we'll be able to get our wire in there. Again, we'll say it again, in case you didn't pay attention last time. This is not the right way to do it. This is just a way to do it. And it is not the way I prefer to do it. Chainsaw's better. Okay, we're gonna go grab the 12-2 wire and we'll feed it up through there and get it to the light. We're gonna get our wire fed through our drilled hole. Got our second hole over here for our light. I'm just gonna feed it in your wire right now. Give this a little extra. And then we'll staple it off so that it's nice. Uh-oh. I might only have 3/4 inch. That little container right there has the 1/2 inch staples. Looks like all I put in my pouch was 3/4. Thank you. back down our wall. And if you need to take your pencil, use the end of your pencil and shove it in that ICF. That is perfectly acceptable. I would not recommend a screwdriver because you might penetrate your coating on your wire, which would be bad. I don't know why you're worried about that ladder.
Well, it's wobbling.
I think all ladders wobble.
Well, I don't like it with you on top of it.
Now we're going to feed it in our box like we did the 12-3. And all I did was knock out, I don't know if you guys can see that. All I did was knock out the corner of the boxes just like normal. No different than if you were feeding wire and this thing was nailed off to a 2x4. The biggest difference is you're just going to mount it differently. Get your box up there where you want it. And then I take my wires and I just kind of wrap them off the edge of the box so that it'll kind of hold the box where I want it there. But that also gets them out of my way for the next step, which is a pretty easy step. The same Tapcons you guys have seen me use everywhere else. I'm going to hammer drill a hole through the box into the concrete behind the ICF. That gets my location. Pop the box out of the way so I make sure I go deep enough. I don't know who made this bit, but I don't like it. I like the other bit better. Now I got to get the right Tapcon. This one's actually too long. I'll be back. So now we got the hole drilled, and to show you guys, I'm using 1 3/4 Tapcons. They don't have to be the crazy heavy duty blue ones. Run your Tapcon in the back of your box. Hit the hole you drilled. That works better when you hit the hole you drilled. Little more. There we go. Now it's in there nice and solid. Both wires are in it. The depth of the box works the exact same. Just like anything else, these little tabs is your 1/2 inch mark for your drywall. Same thing here. That box is the right depth. The ICF was designed so that you can mount a box in it and you can put drywall right here and it's flush with the face of the box. You guys can see the Tapcon down in there and that box ain't going anywhere. So now this is the second leg of our 3-way switch. We've got our first 12-2 there. Now we're going to run 12-2 from there to there, and then to there, and then to there. That way this hallway is lit up no matter which door or step you come down. We're going to run this wire, put you guys on time lapse for that because we're just going to be popping holes through those floor joists and running wires to each of those. And then I'll show you hooking up the lights.
1, 2, 3, come on!
All right, so this is the junction box that goes with these lights, which is what I'm installing. Per the instructions, you break out the back portion. Take this piece, throw it away. You electricians out there can tell people what this is called. I could go get the bag and tell you what they're called, but it's got a nut on it. Now make sure the screws go up. Then you place, get your wire out of the way, put your nut on the inside of the box. Now what this allows for is the ability, once you get it tight, to capture your wire by tightening those down so that your wire cannot slip in and out or come disconnected. And essentially, and I'll take you up there with me, you're gonna be really, really close to me when we do this, but you strip your black wire gets shoved into that hole. Strip your white wire gets shoved into that hole. Your ground is already stripped, you shove it into that hole. And then the light has a quick connect. You push those two together, thread it on, it's ready to go on to the next light. Let's get up there, I'll show you how we wire this up. Now if you guys noticed on time lapse, I did not put a staple here because I'm not ever 100% certain where this box is going to lay properly. But you can see that connection we put in there. Run your wire through, pull it out of the box. Get your wire laid on your wall where you want it. And actually, I did not get the twist out of my wire yet, so we got to do that. Because I want this to lay flat against the joist whenever we go to staple it off, once we get our box positioned. There you can see it's laying flat on the joist now. Now we can feed her back into our box. Bring it out the other side. Oops, you guys are flopping around like crazy there. Sorry about that. And it sets, you can see this side of the bracket is way wider than the other side, which you can't see the other side, but I'll show you that here in a minute. But once we get our wire positioned here, get our box a little closer to where we want it. Now I can put me a staple right here. And this is going to get really tight with you guys up here and me trying to swing a hammer, but we'll get it together here. We'll get it together. Oops, hit you guys. Kind of hard to hold a hammer properly. Oy. Whoops, hit you guys again. Now that we got our wire stapled, because we see where our box is going to mount, we can flex that wire a little bit to get that box shoved up tight against the wall. Now we know that this is too much wire, so we're going to cut off just a little bit of it here, not a lot. Now what we've got to do is get our loom off. Oops, missed. And you always want to score the back side of your loom, so when you go to pull it off there, it breaks nice and clean. But you see I slit that with a razor blade. Now I can peel it right off there. And once we get to our score, it just pops right off. Get your paper out of the way. And this is a little bit more tedious whenever you've got when you're daisy chaining these together. Right now we're just dealing with one wire, but here in a minute we got to deal with 2 wires. So you strip about 1/2 of an inch off. Now you have bare wire there. Then you strip your black. You have bare wire on your black now. And again, the uncoated wire is your ground, because your ground is also uncoated normally. And what you do is you just shove that end up in there until you see it come out of this clear piece right here. I don't even know if you guys can see that, but right there's the ground wire coming out of that clear piece, and now it will not come back out of there. This is the first time I've ever used these, so I did read the instructions, which is unusual, but I did. So now we got our white wire, same exact concept. Shove your white wire up in the hole, push it past to where it's up inside that clear piece. And again, I don't know if you guys can see that little end up in there or not. Get it out of your way. Now take your black wire and do the exact same thing. And as you can see, that 1/2 inch, make sure that the coating on the black wire goes all the way up into this orange piece, so there's no bare wire sticking out whatsoever. And I don't know if you guys can truly tell that or not, but essentially now we are wired up in the junction box. You just take your lid and you close it. Now what we've got to do is cut out our circle here. We have 6-inch lights, so we are going to take a pair of handy dandy side cuts and you just clip it 4 times. Oh, by the way, whenever you're mounting these things, you can use those locations to center you up where you need to be for your mount location, that being in the center of the joist cavity. But you can see these are shoved all the way to the edge, and the reason for that is that's the center of the hallway. Now you get that plate out of the way. You take your lovely light, and it's got these little spring legs on it. Get one spring leg started, flex your other spring leg up, and yes, there is a white gasket that goes on there. Now those springs pull that light up tight into that chase. You take your wire from your junction box, make sure your nut is with it, and there is an alignment. There's a female notch here and a male notch on the inside of the lights wire. Shove that together, thread it in. Now what I like to do to make sure this wire doesn't fly wild, I like to take it and trap it underneath of that spring, and now nothing can go anywhere. And we are now wired up. Show you guys that from the bottom side. It's mounted. That light is ready to go. That's all it takes. And now we got to do that 1, 2, 3 more times, and then we'll be able to put our switches in, get our hot leg into our panel, and the hallway will have lights. We're going to rock out and get these last 3 in, and we'll put some switches in. Well, there it is. 1, 2, 3, 4 lights in the hallway. We got to get our three-way switch installed. And in the utility closet, we still have to get our 12-3 stapled and then get our 12-2 attached, and we'll have lights in the closet. We're going to get all that attached. I'll show you guys the wiring of the 12-3. I have to go off a diagram. I don't do this enough, but we got to wire two three-way switches up. So let me go grab those, get set up, and we'll be back. All right, so just like any other light switch, your commons go together. Got my wire nut, and I got this fancy little tool to run the wire nut onto those wires. It's a $5 tool. I think it's worth it. This will be my first time using it, so. Would you looky there? That worked out quite well.
Pretty daggone neat.
Yeah, that's nice.
Get our ground over here with the other one, because we do need to take it from 2 grounds to 1 ground.
That saves some fingers.
That does save some fingers. So we're going to cut this back. Then we'll take our dikes. We'll grab a hold of both grounds. And we'll twist them together. Turn ourselves into 1 ground instead of 2. Flatten that out so we don't have any sharp wires in there poking holes in anything. Now I can put my little loops. You can see I got my hooks on the end of those wires. It's the holes in your wire strippers. You shove your wire right to the edge and you just rotate it. And now you have a hook on the end of your wire. Now I need to refer, well, before we do that, I'll show you guys the difference. This is a standard switch. It is not a 3-way, where this one is a 3-way. You can see this one has the copper connections all on one side, which is black wire, ground wire. Well, this one has copper, copper, black. The black leg is your common, and most of your 3-way switches will tell you that. Now I just got to figure out which leg is supposed to be my common. So I'll go to my handy dandy schematic, if you will, because I don't do this all the time. I'm sure there's a lot of guys on here or gals that are like, hey, yeah, it's no big deal, just that red wire goes there. So this is our 12-3 going from switch to switch. Our hot comes into the box over near the utility closet. So the red leg is what I have highlighted. My printer does not print off in color, but the red leg appears to me as though we've got 2 connections and 1 connection. So looks to me like the red leg goes to the bottom, because if I would orientate this thing, which not all switches are the same, looks like the red leg goes to the common, and then we have black to the light, which would be this wire goes to this top post, and then the black from the 12-3 coming from over at the utility closet would go to this one here. So now we get to wire all this up and then go to the other side and wire it up and get our hot from our panel and try it. And it might not be right. One other thing that I want to mention, you always want your hook to go with the rotation that you're tightening your screw. So if this screw gets tightened righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, that hoop should face down, so as you're turning your screwdriver, it forces the loop around your screw even further, if that makes any sense. So hook of the loop is on the bottom, and I am turning it to the right, which forces it to the what I would also call the tag end, or the end of the copper. And you always want to make sure that you strip your wires back far enough that your loom, the black piece or the red or the white, does not get under your screw. And I know the switches don't have white here, but if you're ever doing an outlet for you DIYers, now I'm talking so much I forget which one is supposed to go where. All right, so we got our common to the bottom. Now the black to the light, which is this one, goes on top. And again, that hook would be backwards that way, so I got to turn it, hook it around that screw, hold it nice and snug, get her really nice and tight because you don't want those connections to come off. And then this one, the hook would go up instead of down because it's the opposite side of the switch, and clockwise or righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Righty-tighty's that way. We'll get this black one in there. Now we get our ground leg on here, and again, ground leg's the same way. You want your hook to go the direction that you're tightening it. And that one I made a little wide, so that's gonna be tough to get in there. I'll probably stab myself doing this. There it goes, got lucky. We're gonna put this all the way together like we know what we're doing, and it's gonna work. No guarantees that that's the real case. Get your wires flexed in there. Use your wires to shove everything back. Okay, Dad's got my chart over here. This is our hot leg from the panel. This is the common, I guess is what you'd call it on the 12.3 red. And then this would be hot leg for the 12.3 side here. And it looks like our red still goes to the common, which is the black screw. And again, if you guys look at that and I tighten that screw, that'd be the opposite of the hook. So we need to rotate that. Tighten that baby up. And then our hot leg goes on the top side, which is the brass screw. And then this being the 12.3, I guess you'd call that the switch leg. And then our ground. And a lot of you guys might be like, man, that's a whole lot of wire. You're right. And the reason that's a whole lot of wire is this may be temporary. In this hole, I have not decided if I am, goodness gracious, if I am going to frame a wall here on this little bitty, I told you them grounds are tough. Why that is, I'll never know, but we may frame a short wall here to get rid of this radius, or I may just finish it and paint it. I'm not for sure yet. So we're going to tuck these wires in as though it's not going to be framed. And then once we decide later if we're going to frame it or not, we can pull all these wires back out of this box and utilize it to be able to get our switch out here instead of way in there where it's going to be for now. And that, yes, is going to be a lot of wire to shove in that box, but I think we can get it. Okay, now, since these screw holes were mortared over, I'm hoping that we can get a screw in there. It's going to be an interesting one to get a cover on, but there it is. All right, now we just got to get ourselves wired the hot leg into the panel here. Once I get that done, we'll hold the camera out here and show you guys if the lights work or not. Let me get the panel breaker in. We'll be back. All right, Dad. Dad's over there by the door. See if your end works. Hey! Now for the moment of truth. Keep you guys on the lights. All right, I flipped them off. Now can you turn them back on? Ah, crap. Dang it. Well, I got something wrong. Gosh darn it. Well, hold on. So yours is working, right? Turn it back off.
It's on.
Turn it back off.
They're off.
So it's got to be my end. I'm pretty sure it's my end. All right. I scratched my head a little bit. I may not even have time to fix this today because the wife just called and said, hey, I need you to get a kid to practice. Okay, honey. So we've got to drill 2 more holes in this wall for the plumber. So I don't know if I'll have time to fix this switch or not, but that might have to come on another video. We'll work on it just for a minute here, and if I get it working, I'll let you guys know what was wrong. Well, I tried to figure out the 3-way switch. I couldn't get it figured out with the amount of time I have. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, a little bit of electrical work. And as always, like, comment, subscribe, turn those notifications on, and don't forget to share away. Sun's shining finally, and the river's crazy because it's up and the wind's blowing, it's white capping. But you guys can enjoy the view.